and then not be able to penetrate its way toward that hospital. And that's something they've been working on for the last few days. Just in the neighborhood over here, the last time we were here for a storm, we saw a man using an inflatable aqua wall to guard his house. So you understand people here have dealt with water before, and they're trying to do the most they can to keep the water out, because obviously once it gets in to the bottom floor, it's trouble from there, especially when the surge starts going and gets higher and higher.
Really, this is really just the beginning, and our Ryan Young is there. Ryan, thank you very much. Be safe. We'll get back to you. I'm going to get now to the National Hurricane Center in Miami and the acting director, Jamie Rome. Jamie, appreciate you joining us. This is serious stuff. We cannot underscore that any more than we are now. What are your latest models showing? What parts of Florida should brace for the worst here?
Yeah, you can see Ian is now within radar sight, and so you can see the well-defined circulation and now approaching just to the south-southwest of Sarasota, and then you can see this band of heavy showers and thunderstorms already moving out ahead of it. This activity was down here in South Florida last night and today. Really heavy rain to precede the actual core of the hurricane, so looking like a big flood threat as Ian basically crawls across the Florida peninsula.
So if this continues within the model that you have now in the direction as this model is showing you, what places will be impacted the most here?
It's actually going to be a multi-hazard event. So for the areas, the strongest surge will be to the south where the winds are onshore. So we're looking at Fort Myers and Marco Island. Marco Island is I'm really concerned about tonight for the peak surge. But then the winds and the rains spreading inland along into the north of the track, and that would include the I-4 corridor, Tampa, Orlando, and potentially all the way up to Jacksonville.
Now, that's a big area. So meteorologists, Jamie, have said that this storm could be entering another period of rapid intensification. Can you tell us what this is and what effect climate change has on this phenomenon?
Well, we can come back and talk about climate change at a later time. I want to focus on the here and now. We think the rapid intensification is probably almost done. There could be a little bit more intensification as it's still over the warm waters of the eastern Gulf of Mexico, but I don't think we're going to get any more rapid intensification. If you look here, you can actually see, pretty interesting for your viewers, you can actually see a second eye wall forming around the inner eye wall, and that's basically the second eye wall has overtaken the original eye wall, and that should arrest development.
So listen, I'm just trying to get that. You said you want to talk about climate change, but what effect does climate change have on this phenomenon that is happening now? Because it seems these storms are intensifying. That's the question here.
I don't think you can link climate change to any one event. Okay. On the whole, on the cumulative, climate change may be making storms worse, but to link it to any one event, I would caution against that.
Okay, well, listen, I grew up there, and these storms are intensifying. Something is causing them to intensify. So this storm is it's a massive one. Its effects are also being felt in the southern part of Florida. What about the areas that may not be taking a direct hit or experiencing the storm surge, like on the West Coast? How much will the rest of the state be impacted?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, because we flip out to this other graphic. You can see this orange area is the size. So if you think about how big the wind field is, and you can just see how big that wind field is relative to traditional hurricanes, and as that moves up and over the Florida Peninsula into the southeast United States, you can see this big area, blue area of tropical storm warnings. So it's really going to be a big event for not just Florida, but also Georgia and South Carolina.
Listen, Florida's coastline, as we discuss every time there is, one of these huge storms, Florida's coastline has been massively County Fire Rescue, which includes Tampa, and the Vice Mayor, Nick Pachota of Venice, Florida. Gentlemen, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much. Rob, I'm going to start with you because this is the first time that your area has been under a hurricane warning since Irma. This was in 2017. Tonight, you were telling people the planning time is over. So now what?
It's time to execute now. And we're really getting short on that time as well. We've been urging our residents, especially those in the 2 evacuation zones that have been mandated to evacuate, to please heed our warnings and get out of the area. We urge our residents, you don't necessarily have to go to the shelters that we do have available. You know, if you can go 20 miles, 30 miles inland to family and friends' houses, that'll get the job done. You know, you're going to be getting away from that potential storm surge and the flooding. The water is the true danger here. Wind you can shelter against. The water is the true danger here.
Do you think, Rob, should people be heading to shelters? I know you said that it's over, right? Should they be heading to shelters now, hotel rooms, traveling further inland to stay with friends or family? The best plan of action if they haven't already left?
Yes, absolutely. If they are in one of these evacuation zones, if they're in a manufactured home, a mobile home, then they need to execute this plan of evacuating. Find friends, find family. If not, Hillsborough County has 43 shelters that'll accept general population, special needs, and families with pets. So there are options.
Nick, to you now. Ian is expected to make landfall in the city of Venice. That's tomorrow, and it'll do it as a Category 3 hurricane. That's what the forecast calls for, with winds of up to 125 miles per hour. The city has cut off water service to the island. What do conditions look like right now where you are?
Right now, I mean, it's pretty moderate. You know, there's some rain and some wind, but we're not expecting a lot of the stronger storm forecast to hit us until later in the morning. You know, 2 a.m. I think up to about 11 a.m. is when we start to really hunker down and get ready for the big part of the storm.
You know, Rob, the real threat for emergency operations is flooding, storm surge. You know that the water kills more people than anything. What are you expecting to see, and what preparations are being made?
Well, I'm hopeful that our citizens have heeded our warning. You know, and we know how many people are in our shelters. We can't ascertain how many people have gone to friends and family in the center of the state. But rest assured, Hillsborough County Fire Rescue, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, local law enforcement, and fire rescue have mobilized all assets and personnel and are ready to stand by once the storm has passed, and even toward the end of the storm, to start assisting residents in the best way possible.
How do you feel about, you said you know how many people have gone to the shelters. How are you feeling about that number right now?
It's a little short right now. You know, we estimate 20% roughly of the folks who evacuate end up in shelters, and we're not quite there right now. We're close to, I believe, 4,000 people in our shelters, and as you know,